Dove and Dragon Radio. I'm your host, M.L.Ruscsak. I'm here with special guest, Sephine Frances. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, you have a couple books out, but before we get into your books, what led you into writing?
Well, I was really inspired. I've always been inspired by mythology, mainly Greek and Roman mythology. And also, I came across this passage in the Bible that was about, it's in Genesis chapter 6, when the sons of God, which are angels, came down to the daughters of earth and had children by them. And they were called Nephilim. They were men of renown and heroes of old. And when I read that, I was so inspired by wait a minute, there's half angels, half humans running around maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I correlated it with the mythology that I've read about demigods and that. And it really inspired me to write and I had a dream that kind of correlated it, and I use it in my book as well. It correlates with this idea that just sparked into my noggin. And I had to write this book, and I don't have a couple books out. This is my first book.
Okay. Well, I seen you have the first one that says, I got confused, The Silent Prophecy, book 1. So I was assuming there's a book 2.
There is it's in the works. We're getting it worked on right now.
Awesome. See, I wasn't completely wrong. I was just wrong on the timing, which does happen.
Yeah.
So you have this mythology. So without going and giving away the story, what is the story a little bit following?
Well, the main character, Claire, is a little bit about, I'm from Minnesota, and the book takes place in Minnesota, and she's a curator at a museum. And I grew up with art, and I've always been in love with art. I grew up with a very musical family, but I did not get the musical gene. I got the writing gene. I started writing when I was in 5th grade, and I've never stopped. And I've always loved art. So I incorporated that in the book, where she starts out, as this woman who's a curator at the museum. And she gets thrown into this world of angels and demons and Nephilim and creatures. And she's trying to cope with accepting what's going on and trying to really not consume, what's the word I'm looking for?
Understand.
Come to grips with the fact that she's thrown into this world and she has to accept it because she's going to become a part of it.
So then book 2 would continue the journey.
Yes.
And I'm assuming by book 2, she's accepted, okay, there's actually demons in this world, there's gods in this world, and there's all these other creatures that I now have to deal with.
Right. She at the end of I'm not giving any, she accepts it towards the end of book 1, but book 2 really starts to embody her strength. Mm-hmm. And her understanding of all of it and what goes on beyond her. It does go beyond her understanding still, that she has a lot to learn from. So she starts to develop more in the second book. I mean, I had her developed in the first book, but she really starts to grasp it more in the second book. Yes.
Well, that's what a second book always does. It takes your character development that you started and then advances it. In each book that you do, the character develops a little bit more understanding about the world that they're in.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So in your thinking, how many books are you going to have?
There will be 3.
So a nice little trilogy.
Yes.
So that's always great that we know, okay, we have book 1, book 2's in the works, book 3 is being planned. So it's probably a year to 2 years out still.
Not that far. I've got book 2 finished. It's being edited right now. It's with my editor, and I've started book 3. So I don't expect it to be that far of a gap in between. I want to keep my readers engaged. I've been told by the people who have read it and by my ratings on Amazon that it's a page turner. people, I mean, I'm biased, but I think it's awesome because I wrote a book that I wanted to read. And
Exactly.
that's what I wanted. And I wanted to, I want to share that with everybody else because it's so unique. It's a different take on
Everything.
everything. Yeah.
I mean, you don't write a book that says, hey, I'm writing a book because you want to read it. I want to write a book because it's something that I'm into.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to write a book on baseball. I
No.
love watching baseball, but I'm not going to write a book on it because I don't want to read about it.
Right.
So when our authors say it's a book that I would read, now you get into the mind of the author because the author is into this type of book.
Yes.
It's how our minds work.
Yes.
And how we see the world, because how we see the world is not just black and white. It's, oh, this could make an interesting dragon, or there could be a fairy here, or is there some mythological source to this unhappiness that's going on in the world?
Yes. And it's the, you know, it is the fight between good and evil, and what she has to overcome to sorry to function in it. She has to learn how to function. She lived in one reality and she's thrown into this other reality.
Mhm.
And she has to digest it and come to grips with it and try to understand it. And it's a fascinating book. There's so many twists and turns. When people ask me what my book is about, it's so hard to explain because I don't want to give anything away, because
Right.
there's so many. I mean, you think it's going one way and then it kind of twists and goes somewhere else, and you find out more information, and it just leads her through this maze of mythology that is exciting and new and fresh. And I love the book. And like I said, I've been told by so many people so far who have read it that they just, when they put it down, they were thinking about the book even when they weren't reading it. They couldn't wait to get back to start reading the book again.
Right. I mean, I have some of your reviews in front of me. I mean, 87% are rating it 5 stars. And I'm
Yes.
getting guarantee these are not people that buying the book. This is people that read this genre and are drawn to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have the demons in there, you have the mythology in there, you have the good versus evil in there. That opens up 3 or 4 different genres right there.
Yes, it absolutely does.
So in that, how are you able to market it? Because marketing is one big thing that authors usually have a gap in.
It is, and I find it difficult. The best luck I've had so far has been podcasts. I don't have it in any bookstores yet, which I'd like that to happen. But I'm kind of being a first-time author of a novel that's been self-published. I'm kind of working my way through it and trying to navigate the best ways to promote myself, promote the book, and get it out there so people read it.
Right. So you understand your book is your business.
Yes.
So that's one thing that a lot of authors, well, I have this book, now I'm going to put it out here and it's supposed to be taken off, have wings of its own, and I don't have to do anything. Yeah, in reality, no, it doesn't work. I wish it would.
Yeah, I know.
But there's a lot of gears that for authors we have to go into. It's marketing, it's business management, it's, do I get a literary agent, or do I self-publish, or do I query letter small press publishings, or what do I do?
Right.
And you said you're self-published right now.
Yes, I'm self-published right now. And I'm going to work on keeping it self-published as long as I can, as far as having as much control over it. I don't want a big publisher to come in and take away half my, I don't want it. It's my baby. I've worked on this book. Actually, the first book took me 12 years to write. And so it's my baby. I don't want I want to
Exactly.
protect that.
I understand. I have the New Rain, which was my baby. It took me, there is 4 different versions of the New Rain out there.
Okay.
And I'm finally satisfied with it because it went through different publishers, and that's finally through Tree and Press. But at the same time, each time I've redone it, redid it, it's evolved.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand it's my baby. I can't just give it to anyone else.
Exactly.
So that's what you're doing with your books. It's a part of you. You can't have a publisher come in and say, oh, I want to change this or change that or change your wording. I find that the most irritating thing with a lot of publishers. They take your manuscript and go, here's all the corrections I want to change. And by the time you're changing it, it's a completely different book.
Absolutely. And my book is at this point a standalone. I've read it through since it's been published, and it's exactly how I want it.
That's what we have. I mean, when as a publisher, one of my authors say, this is how I want my book. Okay, that's how you want it. I have people coming to me at readers. Well, who did this? The grammar is wrong. No, do you understand how the verbiage is in the South?
Right.
So it's kind of like that. As any author, you have to have a publisher that work with you. If you're not ready for a publisher, you have to do it self-published. But at the same time, it's your book. There's no one, good, bad, negative reviews, positive reviews. It's your book. It's how you want it.
Absolutely. And that's how I want people to read it, because it is so exciting and different and fresh.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's your voice, your story. The only person that can tell it is you.
Yes. Absolutely.
I can't say it for you. I can't write it for you, but you can write your book.
Right.
So who does you cover design at? I mean, it was a very interesting cover to look at it.
It was. I had I worked through this woman, Shanda Torf, at transcendentpublishing.com. She formatted it. She found me 6 cover designs. I gave her an idea of what I wanted it to look like. Mm-hmm. And there was one where Claire, the main character of the book, was facing you so you could see her face, but it was a very generic, it was a very generic face. You've seen it on a bunch of books. Mm-hmm. And I kind of wanted her standing with her back against everybody, as if she's holding off the demons that are coming at her.
Well, that's exactly what your book is, basically. She's leaning against the demons.
Yes.
So it makes sense that she's facing the demons and not facing the audience.
Yes.
I mean, I did the same thing with my own covers. Only one do I have a face looking at you, but there's a reason.
Okay. Yeah, but my reason, I wanted her back turned because it was almost as if to say she's protecting,
she's facing the evil. She's taking it on. She's the heroine of the story. Mm-hmm. She's not running from if you would have had her facing away from the demons, she would be running from the demons instead of
facing them. Yeah.
Your cover says so much about your book, and a lot of people say, oh, don't judge a book by the cover, but the cover tells the story.
Yes, I agree.
And if you're facing the demons, she's taking it on. She's not giving up to them. She's tackling them.
Yes, absolutely.
And
that's what I wanted.
Yeah. Then you have a whole metaphor. You can take it out of the fictional realm and maybe tweak someone's mindset a little bit. You have to tackle your demons.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I've had a lot of struggles in life, and that's another reason this book was such a good thing for me to write, because it was an escape. It was a way to it was not coping, but writing my way through what was going on and kind of writing what I have dealt with in a way. And it was just, it just continued, like I said, for 12 years. I just did not give up on it. And I've given up on so many things in my life, but this book just needed to be written. It never stopped nagging me. When I wasn't writing, there was just this voice that was like, get to your book, write the story, get it done.
I understand. A lot of people go, oh, you just write the book. Well, no, it's the voices in our heads of our characters telling us to write this, and we may plan it out how we want it, but the characters have a way of going, no, I don't want to do that today. I want
Absolutely.
to do this.
Yeah. There are many scenes that I had planned out that went a totally different direction because of my characters. And it was just, they told me, no, this isn't, we're going to do it this way. And I was like, okay, I'm just a conduit here, I guess.
Exactly. When I wrote my first book, I was like, okay, it has a sequel to it down the road, and here's the ending, but the ending doesn't make sense to anything that's going on. So now I have to write the twists and turns to make the ending, because they said, this is the ending.
Yes.
And when the character says, this is the end, that's your ending. You don't.
Yes, absolutely.
So other than this project here, your trilogy, are you working on anything else?
No, I'm solely focused on this right now. It really takes up a lot of my time. I read in between to get inspiration. I watch movies that might inspire an idea, or TV shows that might inspire an idea to my characters or to the direction of the plot I want to go, especially when I get stuck, because you always are going to get writer's block no matter what. And I work through that by finding outlet sources. But no, right now I am I'm so consumed with this book and these characters and getting them to the end that I haven't had time to work on anything else.
So my next question is, what do you do for a day job?
I don't have a day job.
Oh, okay.
I'm a stay-at-home mom.
No, you have a day job.
Yeah.
Don't ever tell yourself you don't have a day job when you're a mother.
Yes, I'm a mother. I get so frustrated. 2 boys.
Yeah, no, being a mother is a full-time job, and you don't get paid for it, and you don't get overtime for it.
And you don't get credit for it. Most people are just, oh, you're a stay-at-home mom, that's all you do. It's like, oh my gosh, do you know what's involved?
Really? Yeah, there's cooking, there's homework, okay, so you're the maid, you're the cook, you're the tutor.
Yep.
You're the counselor.
Yep.
Whatever the roles do you have, the gardener, the pet walker, there's so many different jobs that you do as a mother that stays at home that no one realizes what you do until you don't do it.
Exactly.
So I don't ever say, oh, you're just, no, honey, you have a job.
Yes, I do have a job.
Paid for.
I do have a job. I just don't get paid for it.
Yeah. Change the narrative there, because you do have a job.
Yes, that's true.
And you will have that job for the next 80 years.
Yep. They'll always be my kids.
Yep. They can't,
no matter how old they get.
Yep. So I understand. But we are almost out of time because we did start early today. Where can our listeners and our viewers find you?
You can find me at SephineFrances.com. I'm on Facebook as Sephine Frances, and it's Frances. There's a different, anyway. You can also find me on Amazon.com. You have to look up The Silent Prophecy, but you can find me on Amazon. You can find me on Barnes and Nobles. You can find me on Books A Million. It's all online right now. You can order paperback through Amazon. I don't know about the other and Barnes and Nobles and Books A Million. And that's so far the net that I have reached out to.
Okay. You have a little work to do as an author, but it's okay. You have a good start.
Yes.
So it's so good talking to you and learning about your book. And I can't wait to hear about the second one and when it comes out.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
And for our viewers and our listeners, happy reading.